Welcome to the Compliance Alliance Business Ally Spotlight. And today I have a very special guest with me, Tameenah Adams from ChildcareHR. Hi, Tameenah.
Hi.
It is so good to see you. We have crossed paths over this childcare journey together. And one of the things that I love that you have said before is bloom where you're planted. And I have to say, wherever you go, you're leaving beautiful flowers and blooms because you have quite the background and the history, both as a childcare owner, as a coach, and now childcare HR. So welcome to our conversation. And I want to hear more about childcare HR and what all that is.
Sure. So childcare HR, as you said, I was an owner, and I still do have a school, but I was a multi-site owner, and as I have a background in organizational leadership, and so I just find that liability is so great with HR, with employees. The children are big assets, but our employees are even bigger assets, right? And so I said, you know what? As a small business owner, I watch my mom be very passionate about children, be very passionate about her staff, but just not understand navigating that roadmap around employee relations, employee law, and it just not being her space. And I said, you know what, this is my space. And so let me come in and make my contribution and give back for so many owners that their dream, I've watched owners' dreams turn into nightmares behind wrongful termination lawsuits, behind EEOC claims, wage and hour investigations. And I said, you know what, this is my thing because I don't have the childcare side, right? The things that they do with curriculum, lesson planning, child behavior management, that's so foreign for me. So I was like, I can come in and I can help and help keep their dreams going. And so that's what we do, is that we provide HR in a fractional capacity, because to have an HR professional is about a six-figure salary, and small businesses can't afford that. So if I can give them that in a fraction of a cost with a fraction of services, well, they get full services in a fractional space, then I feel like I'm doing it. So we're able to service multiple clients as if we're their full-time HR. So I love that, love being able to do that. And it's a niche because we understand childcare. We're not just HR, coming from government, or HR in the medical field. We know childcare. So I love that.
Well, and you just took words out of my mouth, which is that fractional role. We share that commonality with the Compliance Alliance because we come in as fractional compliance auditor or leader and help them understand where are they with their processes. And one of which where our worlds definitely intersect is when we talk about their HR practices. What does that look like? So we have some mutual clients, but when you think about the landscape, and I love everything that you said, it's the people side of it, but then there's also the less interesting part of it, which is regulation, compliance, and so forth. So when you look through the compliance lens for this conversation, what do you think is the highest priority? What do you bump into as the highest priority if you had to rank them?
The highest priority would be wage and hour compliance, understanding and navigating through all of the wage and hour laws, specifically around the big one now is sick and safe leave. A lot of people understand sick leave, but they don't really understand safe leave. The second biggest thing would be ADA and understanding giving people their ADA rights, especially when it comes to pregnancy, considered to be a protected disability. And then the third place is actually managing workplace investigations appropriately. Because a lot of times the vicarious liability isn't in the fact of listening to what's going on, is how it was managed and what was the outcome of what happened.
Tell me again what you mean by safe leave. That's a new one for me.
Oh, really? So
Yes.
So most states now have required sick and safe leave, and safe leave are for victims of domestic violence. And so now many employees are protected in the workspace that if they are experiencing any type of domestic violence, any type of stalking, harassment, that they're protected and they're allowed time off from work. And in our space, the childcare space, that's very tricky because most of us have something under job abandonment for no call, no shows.
Mhm.
But under the Safe Leave Act, an employee could be experiencing a traumatic event like domestic violence and be protected if they no call, no show. So we have to make sure that our policies are written in a way that holds them accountable if they no call, no show, but also protects the employee if it is because they were experiencing domestic violence or stalking, especially with us being a majority female
Mhm.
workforce. Now of course, any gender could be experiencing domestic violence, but it's majority females. And so we run into this a lot. Me personally, I went through that where, I had an employee who had no call, no show for several days, and we found out that she was in the hospital because of being a victim of domestic violence. So she was protected under that policy.
Well, I just learned something new and something that, of course, is vital. I mean, when you think about the way we want to serve and support our teams as well, and it's such a sensitive and private topic, but that is one where I don't think we can do too much. And we also have to make sure that we're doing enough according to the laws as well. Um, when it comes to policies, Tameenah, can you help them actually come up with their policies and procedures around HR, their employee handbooks? I would like to just address the fact that we sometimes see antiquated employee handbooks, policies, and part of what we do when we do our audits is to have them updated. Is that something that you help them with, and is that a common request?
Yes, it is by far our most popular request. So we either do the handbooks for them or we review the handbook they currently have and give feedback on it. Or we work with their HR person just to kind of make sure. Actually, I just got off a call right before this where their HR, the client's HR had created a handbook but said, hey, can you take a look and see what I'm missing? And sure enough, there were areas that were missing around compliance, around separation, key areas, and we just kind of talked that through. So we can do that. And you're right, a lot of them are antiquated or they're missing, like for instance, the sick and safe leave policy. So they might have in the sick and not have in the safe. They
Yeah.
might not have their FMLA or their ADA statement. So we definitely work with them on that. We also work with doing job descriptions, building those out, interview scorecards, making sure that there is a system. So we actually do an entire recruiting and selection process SOP. So we look at making sure that their recruiting is legal, making sure, somewhat compliant under an HR standpoint, making sure that their selection process. So we help build out SOPs on that, all the way to hiring and onboarding. We also help with offboarding SOPs. So there's a process because you actually have to have a process to offboard employees.
Correct.
And we also help with with the SOPs, with interview scorecards, because when you have especially multi-site or off-site owners, you want to make sure that whoever's doing the interviewing is not violating any laws with the questions that they're asking. So the best way to do that is to create a scorecard. So we help with all of those things.
Oh, that's excellent. I would love to have you come back on and just do an interview scorecard. We're launching the compliance confidence power half hour, and we're doing these workshops that are on various topics. But that's one that I think would be hugely beneficial because not everybody's a professional interviewer, and knowing where those guardrails are, but yet asking those questions that are going to really reveal the right candidate across the spectrum. So I would love to have you back and talk about that particular topic, and of course. So let's just talk about the Compliance Alliance for a minute. Why have you chosen to become an ally with the Compliance Alliance?
Just the word compliance alone is what we do. And so anything, like I said, my heart sits with wanting childcare owners to they put their blood, sweat, and tears into these schools, and just getting them, for when I was an owner, managing the operational side and the compliance side was overwhelming for me. But I was overwhelmed with operations because it wasn't my wheelhouse. So I love the fact that the Compliance Alliance is partnering and helping to take the other part that isn't their wheelhouse, right? And so that's big for me because that's where my lane is. And that's where I feel like the two together, you can't have one without the other. So I love that. I love that you're going to kind of hit that umbrella of all pieces of compliance, right? I love the audit piece because we do the HR audit, but it's the fact that you're looking at everything, right? From the licensing piece, from just the complete umbrella. So I wanted to be a part of that. It aligns with what we believe in, and we believe in creating transparent and empathetic partnerships. We not coming in to tell them, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, but coming in to be an ally, coming
Yes.
in to partner with them, not just coming in saying, hey, I can teach you this, or let me tell you what to do and you go and fix it. No, like we're an ally and we're in this together.
Yes.
And I see so many things that is more so buy this book, take this one course, but you're not really partnering. You're not boots on the ground. You're not in the trenches with people. And I love the fact that you're going to be in the trenches with them. And that's what we do is we're in the trenches with you, getting you there together. We have just as much invested in this, in their success as they do. So that's what I love about you guys. And that's why we decided to actually make you right now our first partner. We
Oh, well.
long time. We are on our 1 year anniversary in another month. And the Compliance Alliance is our first partnership that we've actually decided to get into.
Well, what an honor. Thank you very much for that, because for all the reasons you said, it is a great alliance. And also we talk about being a compliance concierge. And we don't typically think of concierge with compliance, but it's making sure that we're not just giving a book or giving a set of action items, but having the implementation plan and a timeline, because this takes time. Sometimes it takes time to make change. And it's not an overnight flip the switch, but bringing together the allies. And with Childcare HR, we're delighted to have you partnering with us. So thank you for that, Tameenah.
All right.
We're going to wrap with just a fun question for those that don't already know you. So when we think about mountains or ocean, what would you pick? And I know the answer to this, but you go for it.
Oceans, of course, oceans.
For those that don't know about CEOs at Sea, you have to talk about that briefly. Tell us about.
So I am an avid cruiser. I love cruising. I've been on over 90 cruises. And so just in my network and tribe, people always like, I want to go on a cruise. You got to tell me about it. So I started last year, CEOs at Sea, which really is just a bunch of people coming together, childcare CEOs, any kind of CEOs. It could be anybody working in the field. But I feel like we always go for conferences. We always go for all these other work things. But I wanted something where we could just go relax and do organic networking, right? Not forced networking, not because it's networking hour or networking day. It's just, we just happen to be by the pool. We just happen to be on excursion. So we do a cruise every year, 1 to 2. So we actually just came off of our second one. And we are now planning our third one to Greece. We are cruising Greece in 2025. So we're doing it all adult. We just did a family one on Royal Caribbean for Labor Day. And so next June 2025, we're doing one to Greece. And we're doing a night overnight in Mykonos. We're actually going to stay overnight in Mykonos.
Oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. We could do a whole episode just on that.
Yeah, and again, it's about providing the experiences. I don't think, so cruising and then having that cruise ship actually stay in port overnight, most people haven't experienced that. So I've already been getting the questions like, so do we need to get a hotel? Like, how does that work? I was like, you just get to go on and off the ship all night, however you feel. You can stay on land if you want, or you can come back to the ship and sleep in your cabin, whatever you want to do, but you get one whole night overnight in Mykonos.
Love it. Love it. Well, we know about the sea then, and then how about dog or cat? What would you pick and why?
Dog, because I'm a dog owner. I have 4 dogs. I have 2 Labradoodles and two toy Yorkshire Terriers. I'm a
Okay,
dog.
dog person, but I got to know the names because that's also has a story behind it always.
Okay, so I have 3 boys and 1 girl. So the 1 girl, she was my first one. Actually, the first dog was Mister. He is a Labradoodle. He's black. I named him Mister because he has white right in the middle and white on his paws, so he looks like a tuxedo. So he was first. He was my late daughter's dog, and so I have him. Then we got Cutie Pie, which is a little tiny little girl Yorkie. I got her for my youngest daughter, so she named her Cutie Pie. And then after that, I got another toy. And his name is Snickers because he's chocolate, he's tiny, look like a little Snickers bar. So we call him Snickers, and he's so small. And then the last one, his name is Milo. Milo is a chocolate Labrador. We couldn't decide what to name him. We were kind of deciding, do we want to name him Bear or do we want to name him Milo? And so we wanted another M name, so we just came up with Mr. and Milo. But we should have named him Bear because he's so fluffy like a little bear. He's about 18, about 18 months old. So that's, and actually this weekend, someone offered me 2 additional dogs, and
Oh,
I was like, let me see if I can figure out a way. But I was like, no, I can't do 2 more puppies right now. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I might have 2 Bichon dogs by next week, and they're white. I mean, Christmas is coming, so I mean, 2 little white dogs would be perfect for Christmas. So we'll see.
well, you know, it sounds like they say people make emotional decisions for logical reasons, and you just gave the logic, which is, well, it's Christmas, but the emotion is you want the dogs. That's what it boils down to.
That and the fact that every dog I get, one of my children take the dog, right? So Snickers isn't with me either. Mister's going to be going now with my other daughter. So we're going to be left with just Milo soon. So I was like, I might need
I think you
something for
do.
me.
I think you do.
They're only mine when they have to be housebroken. And once they're housebroken, the kids take them. But when they're not housebroken, oh mom, they're your dog. But as soon as the housebroken, then they want them. But also we have, fish and we have turtles. So I don't know.
Well, I'll be checking back with you to see what happened at Christmas time with the Bijans.
Okay.
All right, Tameenah, I'll let you get on with your day, but Childcare HR, welcome to the Business Ally lineup, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you so much for the invite.